Hi, it's Jeff.
And Shaleia.
Welcome to the first episode of Twin Flames Universe Talk Show. And today we'll be talking to Joyce, who will be sharing her story of her and her twin flame reunion. So some of the challenges that she's going through is in meeting her twin flame. She met him about 2 months ago, and she's not sure if some of the stuff that's coming up is healthy for her union or if it's just drama that's weighing her down.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's get started.
Hello.
Hi, Joyce.
Hi, Joyce.
Hi, how are you?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm okay, thanks.
Good,
to
good.
hear.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us this evening. It's nice to have you on our show.
Well, thanks for asking me to be part of it.
Totally. It's our honor.
So, how we'd like this show to go is we will be asking you about your twin flame journey and where you're at. You're welcome to ask any questions that you like, and we'll be helping you forward and supporting you forth.
Okay, well, that's good. Thanks.
Yeah, you're
Good.
welcome.
So, how was your day today?
Long.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, especially with all this weather, right?
Well, how is it?
Yeah.
How is it where you live?
We had a nice snowstorm today.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
That must have been fun.
I guess up in Canada, right? You never know what we're going to get up here, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you.
Here in Michigan, the weather has been pretending like spring is going to happen, but
Yeah, and then boom.
no, winter again.
Winter.
Haha.
Sure.
Yeah, it's just teasing you, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
So tell us about where you're at with your twin flame. I know that we had done some work together, Joyce, and before we had started working together, you hadn't met your twin flame, and more recently, you had ordered a twin flame love stories report, and you manifested your twin flame quickly after.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Okay. We met a couple months ago.
Mm-hmm.
He used to come he comes into my work every day.
Oh.
Yeah, well, he works for one of our courier companies.
Oh, nice. This sounds like a Hollywood film.
And just one day out of the blue, he just wasn't acting himself. So me being, I guess, the kind person that I am, I was like, you don't look yourself today. So telling me about what was going on. And I guess we were talking for 5-10 minutes or whatever, and he left.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember thinking to myself, I should give him my number.
Yeah.
Yeah, just in case he ever needed someone to talk to, right?
Sure.
That's very sweet. Yeah. Why not?
Yeah, and so unfortunately, the day after, I didn't see him.
Mm-hmm.
Day after that, he came up to me and gave me his number.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
I know. I was shocked. At the same time, I was like, well, that's odd,
That was like out of the blue, but it sounds like, I say that's like twin flame telepathy.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, like you were thinking about giving him your number, and then he got that information from you, and then he probably mistook it for his thought and was like, oh, I should give her my number.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
wow.
Thing. And we started talking from there.
Mm-hmm.
But he's going through a lot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He separated from his ex, I guess, about 5-6 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly. So it's been really difficult on me as well, and very draining.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's a question for you. Like at this
Definitely.
point, I don't know what I should do.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So I know that a lot of... Oh, go ahead, Joyce.
No, it is very draining on me, and sometimes and he's very angry all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of feeling that from him, and that's just talking through the phone,
Sure.
Yeah.
So, when I get off the phone, I'm like, oh my God, okay, now I got to calm myself down.
Sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that can be stressful,
Well, I know, Joyce, that a lot of people have been experiencing and are experiencing and will experience the same thing that you're going through. So it's wonderful that you're bringing this up and sharing your story with the world right now, because so many people are going to benefit and relate to what you're going through right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because so many people find their twin flame, and then they start connecting with them and realize, there's a lot of stuff between being together, even though we've met now.
Mhm. Mhm.
When we started talking on the phone, we were talking for hours.
Mhm.
And the first couple phone calls were just amazing.
Wow.
We were talking about everything.
Mhm.
I remember him saying to me, he says, you were the first person that I could ever talk to like that with.
Mhm.
That's nice.
He was saying that, he would talk about things that he'd never talked to about anything with anyone. So we had that huge connection,
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I don't want to give up on him.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like, okay, I don't know if I can deal with this at the same
Mhm.
time.
Mhm.
So Joyce, it sounds like you're looking for a healthy way to move forward through this, without having to feel drained while you're connecting with him, but at the same time, you have that special connection with him.
Yeah.
And you've been working and choosing your twin flame, and look who's arrived.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Are you guys still on speaking terms right now?
Oh yeah, we talk all the time.
Oh, okay, good. I wasn't sure if you were experiencing separation from him, or you're just experiencing a lot of upheaval, at least on his end. Experiencing him going through a lot of stuff that's hard.
It is hard. It's very hard. And I've even said to him, honestly, me saying to him, I don't know if I can deal with this.
Yeah.
And he says, it's okay. I'll understand if you want to step back. And, he says, I've learned a lot from you already. That's okay,
Mm.
And I'm just like, but I don't want to let go of him.
Yeah. So how does it feel when he says, oh, maybe we should, it's okay if you don't want to continue this? How does that feel?
I do feel a little bit hurt at the
Mhm.
same time.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
But at the same time, I'm thinking to myself, well, maybe this is what I should do just for myself. I don't know.
But what are you feeling when he says, maybe, it's okay if you don't want to continue, it's okay if you want to leave me? How does that feel?
I do feel a bit upset when he says that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't really sound like that's his truth either. When I vibe into it and I can kind of see what's going on, I feel like he doesn't really mean what he says.
Mm-hmm.
He just knows that he's going through some stuff, and you're the closest person to him right now that he can open up. And so here he is with his I call it upheaval. I don't like to call it negativity, because most of the time when we experience negativity, it's just an upheaval. It's a clearing so that the new and the positive can come forward. And it sounds to me like he just doesn't know what to do with this stuff. Because in this culture and what I've experienced, no one really teaches you what to do when you're going through a healing period. And then after our healing period, there's usually an integration period after that healing, and then we're completely rebalanced in our new balance. So, I think what came to mind to me, and I think a lot of people also would like to know and experience, is when do I take a step back because it's no longer healthy? Meaning, where do I set my boundaries with my twin flame? Because it's not a healthy dynamic that we're in, and maybe at another later time we can come back together. But and I think what Jeff was making a really good point is feeling into that, how does that actually feel? It doesn't feel good that he says that. Well, that's probably what your truth is. You know, our feelings are, for lack of a better word, I guess, like our emotional compass. And one way that I find out my emotional, my truth, not necessarily emotional truth, but my truth in general, is through making sounds. Like with, for instance, do I want to eat a piece of chocolate right now? There's my truth. No. You know, and a lot of people aren't aware of this, but that's another way that they can find out their truth too, is, do I want to go for a walk right now? That's not my truth in this moment, but, you know, just listening to the sounds, and it sounds like, you know, you're just listening to your inner self that says, nah, you know, it doesn't resonate with me to want to take a step back, but how do I deal with my twin flame in a healthy manner who is experiencing a lot of upheaval and is using me as a sounding board? Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounding board, because that can be very difficult. That can be really, really yucky, not knowing how to deal with that. And you want to help them because that's your twin flame with whom you are already one with. So it's about moving forward in a direction that feels good for both parties.
So going back to that feeling, when he says, you know, if you want to leave me, that's fine. That doesn't feel good when he says that.
No.
It feels good to continue working with him. It feels good to continue connecting with him.
Yeah.
So it sounds like moving forward and having these conversations that are difficult, and there's a lot of, you know, emotional upheaval going on, maybe moving in that direction is your truth.
Yeah, okay, makes sense. I've been kind of questioning it for the past couple of weeks now.
Yeah.
Just because, I mean, I've even said to him, you know, like, maybe if we're going to talk, that maybe you shouldn't talk about her. Because when he does talk about her, he gets really angry. But then it seems to be a conversation end up about her. You know what I mean? And then I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, just calm down, relax. You know, this is all going through my head. So, yeah, I was kind of thinking about it today, and I'm like, okay, maybe I should just step back for a little while. You know, let him do what he needs to do. I've given him some advice, you know. We do see each other every day, so it's not like we're really going anywhere, you know?
True.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then just kind of keep it at that.
So it sounds like it sounds like what's happening is that he's and you are upheaving things that are keeping you separate.
Yeah.
You guys are working through the stuff that's preventing you from being together. Now, if he's holding a lot of anger about this particular woman, it's preventing him from being in harmonious union with you.
Yeah.
So perhaps the reason that you're feeling so compelled to continue discussing with him, despite the fact that he's only talking about this woman and getting angry a lot of the time, is because that moving through that anger is what's bringing you together. Now, if you're consulting your feelings, Joyce, as you're working through this, you will know, okay, well, maybe it's time to stop talking about this woman right now. He's just feeding into the anger. And if you're consulting your feelings, you'll know, if you're consulting your feelings, it's time to stop. And you'll also know if you're consulting your feelings, even though it's difficult, even though I feel really drained afterward, after talking about all this, if you're consulting your feelings in moving forward, you'll know that it's appropriate to move forward and talk about that, even though it's hard.
Yeah. And I just want to share a quick little story about myself, because I feel like I personally resonate with what your twin flame is currently going through, although, you know, it might be on a different scale for me. But I'm reminded of this saying that I was told once, that you have to love them before you leave them. Because if you do not love your previous partner, you're always, before you leave them, you're always going to be carrying them around forward with you into your future and into your next relationships or your union. And I had, when I was and when I first met Jeff, I was still carrying some baggage around with previous partners, and it would bring up anger and upset in me, and I would project my experience with these past men onto Jeff, even though in my heart of hearts I knew that he did not embody those qualities or traits that I didn't like or that I didn't desire from these past men. I realized that I needed to let them go, and being angry at them and my experience with them was not letting them go at all. It was only perpetrating the upset, and it was numbing me out. Actually, anger numbs. It was numbing me out to my truth, which was that I love my previous partners for the lessons that they gave me, for the growth opportunities that they presented to me. And without that experience with these men, I wouldn't be in my union today, because I needed the contrast to bring me forward into my union, and I needed to also clear the blocks and barriers to my twin flame through these relationships. That was their highest purpose. And I believed that, I had this idea for a little while that I was a failure because they weren't a success. And I realized that they were a success. I was just holding a false image of what a successful relationship was. They were successful because the lessons were completed, and that was that. The love doesn't die, because love is an energy. Love just changes. Energy changes, And I think that's where a lot of people get upset, because they're not surrendering into the truth of the moment of the fact that the relationship has changed and it has served its purpose, and it's time to move forward so that the universe can bring you your true desire, continue moving you forward into your true desire, which for us and the purpose of this talk show is being in our twin flame union. So what I ended up doing was I meditate a lot, and I do a lot of my healing in meditation. And, it can be anywhere. I can sit on a couch, I can lie on my bed, or I can be in the car, I can be anywhere. And I close my eyes, and I bring forth that partner, and I say thank you for the lessons, thank you for the growth, thank you for the love that you brought into my life, and we are complete. And I just let them go. Like, I release you, and I say and do whatever I feel inspired in that meditation. And I also turn to the aspect within myself that is holding that anger, the part of me that was that version of myself in that relationship, and I love her completely, and I thank her, and I ask her to let go of the upsets that I was holding on to, and to love the experience completely, and basically just detach from these old thoughts and feelings and yada, 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 and just keep the good, because it was affecting my union, and we were hitting a block. We weren't able to go deeper and deeper into our loving in the present moment, because I hadn't loved and let go the men previous.
And you know what, Joyce, as you're connecting with your twin flame, and as you're having these conversations, you're able to develop your relationship in union before it gets too deep and intimate. Shaleia and I spent 4 months online dating before we were able to even hold hands. And this time built the foundation for our union. Without that time, it would have been a different entrance into our relationship and into our union.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest with you, we've been together maybe 2, 3 times. And we've had sex, but it seems meaningless.
It seems what, sorry?
I don't know. It didn't seem anything like any other partner I've been with.
Mm-hmm.
So I even remember going home that night and I'm thinking to myself, okay, that's weird. But I thought to myself that maybe it felt like that because I don't know. I didn't even really know what to make of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, he's even said, you know, we could just be together. We don't have to do anything. You know, I just want to be with you. And we could do some reading, whatever. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, well, you know, you're the first person that's ever said that to me. That's awesome, you know. And I've kind of stuck with that. Because I thought, well, we won't even get into that. We'll just kind of leave that for now, you know, because there is so much going on, and yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I like the idea of the meditating. I think I need to start doing that, because I think I might still be hung up on a couple other guys that I've been with.
Yeah.
I'm totally detached from, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So...
Mm-hmm. And this could be why this is coming up in your union with your twin right now, is he's reflecting the fact that you're still cleaning up partners from the past. And especially when you have been with your twin flame sexually, their energy, when you connect through sex, starts to clear out the partners that you've been with previous, because there are energetic deposits inside a woman's body from having sex with previous
and a man's
partners.
body too.
And, yeah, you're right, and a man as well.
Okay.
I can only speak from my side.
Sure, of course.
So that's one reason why you could be also experiencing a lot of this upheaval on his end, and obviously on your end now too, is because you've connected sexually, you started clearing those old energies out, and it also amplifies what's happening inside. So it's the twin flame sex is a real good tool to move forward in clearing a lot of this old debris, old energetic debris, and to really open up your heart and experience deeper loving in your reality and in your union. So, yeah.
Yeah, I know that.
So something else I'd like to speak to, Joyce, is that in our union, in my union with Shaleia, our sex has come in cycles. And there's never been a steady pattern of, okay, on Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays around this time we have sex, and it's about this long, and then and that's it. It's never been that way. It's always been flowing. It's always been changing. It's always changing in frequency. Sometimes we'll have sex 2 or 3 times a day for a week, and then we won't have sex at all. Sometimes we'll have sex, a few times, and then we won't have sex at all. It's always changing and varying. So in comparing my sex life with Shaleia and my sex life in the past with partners who weren't my twin flame, there's no comparison. Yeah. And I can't say, oh, well, my sex life with Shaleia is going well or going better or not, because there's no pattern to it other than it's a constant flow, and I don't know what's going to happen next.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what I am also communicating is, in your union, it's okay to take breaks, no matter how long they are. And it's okay to engage in it as long as it feels appropriate for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, me personally, I find that I can only take so much energetically, and then I need to take a break and integrate the energies, because they're really intense. And twin flame energy is amplified greatly compared to being with a soulmate or a non-soulmate, because you're dealing with a whole soul, like an entire unit. And even today, even now, we're still going through layers and going deeper and deeper into loving. And sometimes, a person can only take so much. You have to integrate that. You got to like work your way into it. Any master will tell you it's the same thing for them too. It's a seed doesn't turn into a tree overnight.
And too, there are cycles to nature. A tree isn't always growing. Sometimes part of growing is dropping its leaves and taking a long rest over winter.
Yeah, taking a rest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what we've been doing lately. Just kind of taking we communicate to each other every day. Whether if it's just a text saying good morning or how are you.
Yeah.
And we don't talk on the phone all the time. Sometimes we won't. Because we do have our own lives, right? So,
yeah. And I just wanted to go back a little bit and mention about doing the meditation and loving your partners before leaving them, that Joyce says you do this inside of yourself, you're actually going to the place where you are already one with your twin flame, and you are helping him heal that same issue inside of himself as well and clearing it. And you'll know by how you feel inside after you've done the meditation and the healing work. And the healing doesn't have to be a big deal. It doesn't have to be this huge. People sometimes make it into a huge, whoa, and it really doesn't have to be a big deal. You just go inside, you love yourself, you feel good, and you move forward. It really is so simple. And you'll know by how you feel, and you'll know by if you're having a reaction to it, a reaction to previous partners. If it comes up later, then like, well, I know I got to go back inside and do a little bit more work, or use the mirror exercise that we talk about in our book, Twin Flames, Finding Your Ultimate Lover. And that you will, like Jeff and I experience this all the time, that when we do our inner work using the mirror exercise, or just going inside and loving ourselves and clearing a particular issue, we feel it immediately in our union. And it's really nice to a degree because we experience miracles all the time. Because I'm going inside and I'm healing it in myself, just like him. He's going inside and healing himself. And we reap enormous rewards, as opposed to me looking at Jeff and being like, well, you need to heal this, and we need to talk about what's going on here. And sometimes that is appropriate.
I just want to step in real quick before you move forward and point out, Joyce, how well you're already doing this in your union. How you're compassionately listening and helping him through his stuff and giving him the space to express himself, because in that space, you're healing yourself too. You're giving yourself that compassionate ear. You're giving yourself the space to let it go.
It's true, because what you do to him, you do to yourself.
Everything you invest into your union, one of the magical things about twin flames, everything you invest in yourself and your union, you invest in your union, right?
In yourself.
You invest in him.
Yeah, in him.
It's all the same thing.
It doesn't leave the container of your union. You experience all the good that you put in and all the love that you put in. Yeah. So just quickly back to what I was saying is that your twin flame doesn't have to change in order for your union to be harmonious or to work out.
Perfect.
Because all you need to do is go inside and change the upset within yourself. Because this is a really important point I want to make, is that a true master, and I believe that we all are walking masters inside, that we all have an inner guru, sometimes they call it that, or Christ self, is not being influenced by our external environment or trying to control our external in order to make sure we're at peace. Once we're at peace within ourselves first, then peace outside follows. But you'll never have peace outside of yourself if you're trying to control it or trying to change someone else. It's always an inner job. Loving ourselves is an inner job. Experiencing peace and harmony in our lives is an inner job. And it's really important to give ourselves permission to for instance, like feel the anger and feel the upset and allow it to come through so that it can be released as opposed to harboring it. Like that's where sometimes Jeff and I differ, is I need to express myself. If I'm upset, I need to like verbally say it out loud. And him, he doesn't need to express it out loud. He just kind of like goes within and
works through it.
He works through it himself inside. But how I work through it myself is I need to express it to Jeff. And then I kind of hear myself and I hear my process and I hear what thoughts that I need to change that are out of alignment with love or with truth or with God or higher power, whatever word you resonate with. And then I quickly make a new choice, and that's part of my process. But it's very healing for me to express myself. So I think that you're giving your twin flame sacred space, which means voting his victory, and it also means being open and loving and allowing him to express himself. And it's going to create just a lot of just a space for him to heal in general. But like I believe what you're saying, it is important to also have a boundary of, okay, when is it not healthy anymore? When is it where is that line? Because someone wrote on Facebook recently, I really resonated with this, that sometimes not giving a lifeline is the lifeline, because you're helping to empower them to figure it out on their own. So, yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I usually do. Like, every now and then I'll send him something that I took off Facebook, like some powerful message or something, and he keeps them.
Nice.
So if it really affected me when I read it, then I'd send it to him, and he'd be like, wow, that's so cool, or you know what I mean? Just
That's awesome.
Yeah, things that he could go through and kind of maybe will stick with him as well.
Yeah, that's so sweet. I do that to Jeff too all the time. You know, because it's such a lovely thing to share a positive message that we find personally meaningful, and if it's personally meaningful to us, then there's a high degree chance it might be personally meaningful to our twin flame.
Yeah. He tells me all the time that things that I send him, like, they give him shivers, you know? I guess because they really something to him, so...
Yeah. So my question for you, Joyce, is have you discussed your values with your twin flame yet?
What do you mean values? Like...
Well, for Shaleia and I, one of our core values is loyalty.
Oh, okay.
Something that was so important to each of us going into our union was... We
created a contract, a relationship contract, within like a month of meeting each other, basically saying that if one of us decides that we want to break up, we can't officially break up until 2 weeks from said person wanting to break up. And within those 2 weeks, you know, we have to do everything in our power to basically patch things up, you know, mend and heal a relationship and, you know, move forward and make it work, because too often, especially in twin unions, because we mirror each other so intensely, and the love that's already present can be, not everyone can feel ready for that, and that's why there's this whole runner-chaser dynamic, is really making that choice to be committed and to really work through, because if you're with your twin and all of a sudden you have a huge blowout and then they're like, see you later, I can't stand you, I'm going to go, and you're like, did we just break up? Like, what the heck's going on here? It really creates a safe container for the union to move forward and to grow and to be safe and secure. And that was one thing that, like Jeff was mentioning about the values, like, we value our union so much that we're not willing to let a huge upset shit all over everything that we have created together, even today.
So Shaleia is pointing to another value beyond just loyalty, and it's our union. And we've actually built our lives on our union.
Mm-hmm.
So we start with our... Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. Well, I was just going to say that we haven't really spoken about that.
Mm-hmm.
We just kind of said right now that we will just remain friends.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
We've got a lot to learn. Like, I've worked on myself for 5 years. So, I'm right into reading about all the angels and everything.
Wonderful.
He's got no clue about any of that.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got a long way to go. And when I mentioned this to him, he was lost.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he didn't even know what it meant.
What, didn't he know? Angels, you mean, or?
Oh, well, no, just about anything that I read.
Like spiritually.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he's heard of the word, but he didn't even know really what it meant.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's lost. He just, I mean, right now he's just trying to work on himself and get, separated from her and this and that. And I've been lending him some of my books, and but he just, I think he's got a long way to go.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I don't want to push him into anything that he, is too much for him right now.
Yeah,
so.
I understand. The friendship is a really good start, and that's
definitely.
It's a really, in my opinion, it's a huge foundational core in a union and in any marriage and relationship is having that friendship. Because if you're not friends, at the bottom, what are you? It's just sometimes people base a lot of their relationships on
intimate relationships.
Yeah, on the personality or the body, like, oh, you're hot and you're sexy, all that, but they're not even really friends. They just meet and then they hook up, and then they wonder why it didn't work out. Well,
Well, if you don't like each other as friends, when it gets real hard, how are you going to break the tension?
Yeah, who are you really together?
How do you connect?
Yeah, how do you connect and where?
And I think, Joyce, how you and your twin flame are starting is a really beautiful way to start your union.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing it so perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
So,
thank you.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
And the reason I ask about values is when you're ready to go deeper with your twin flame, discussing the values you share, and it sounds like you're bringing up a value that you share and it's working on yourself. So discussing the values that you share.
Spiritually working on your
He's working on himself with his, ex-partner, and you talked about working on yourself. It doesn't matter what the label is you put on it. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter, if you're studying spirituality heavily and he has no idea what an angel is. It's about the intention behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like the intention behind it for both of you is to feel better, to experience a better life, to improve yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like you do share a value there.
Okay.
And as you discuss, and I'm sure that you've been uncovering these values from within him. We do it naturally. But as you discuss it and bring it up consciously and talk about it, you can go deeper and clearer and become more intimate in your relationship and union.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And if you know what he's all about at his deepest core values, you can relate to him better and you can create something stable.
Mm-hmm.
Because what he values at his core is part of who he is.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can relate to him from your core to his core, well, now that's a really good relationship. And that's going to be the foundation for a really, really good union.
Yeah, I just want to share, I've been studying spirituality for, well over a decade now. And, Jeff had a different background where, he in many respects, he's very spiritual, but he never used oracle cards or tarot cards. He didn't read the spiritual books that I was reading or the articles that I was following. He didn't have a crystal collection like myself. But we had, our core value is love of God. And it's through this love of God that has really created a very firm and solid foundation for our love to grow and deepen. And whatever, in many respects, what interests me really interests Jeff. Like on a core level, what interests me interests Jeff as well. And, that covers a lot of the spirituality. Like, he now does oracle card readings and
Every
he
day.
channels. And he never did that when we met. Like, I gave him an oracle card reading, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, you should set up a little business and do card readings for people, and and channel their spirit guides and stuff." And I said, "Yeah, but I just don't feel called to do that. It's more of a personal thing for me." And and next thing I know, like 9 months later, this guy is like opened up his abilities. Because when you're with your twin flame and you go deeper with your twin flame, it opens up spiritual channels in your system that allows you to access certain gifts that you innately have and abilities. And that was one of the gifts and abilities that got opened up from Jeff, from being with me, was the channeling and doing the oracle card readings. And now he does divineguidancereadings.net and does these twin flame reports, and he's able to access past life stories and do past life healings. Like, it's amazing, because when I first met him, I would never have seen that in my life. I'm not even kidding. He seemed like really strong into business and finding business opportunities and Airbnb, and he's just very resourceful in creating businesses. But I guess the piece that I held was what his heart truly wanted, was to explore his spirituality and explore his spiritual gifts and combine that with his business degree and business background. And fast forward, here we are now, and I mean, I wouldn't even know back then that this is this is part of who Jeff is. But it's because we shared that common value of love for God that we're both willing to go deeper into what that meant.
And what Shaleia is also talking about is when you go deeper, the results are fantastic. I was one person when I met Shaleia, and I'm still the same person at my core, but is manifesting so much more magnificently and so much more in alignment with who I truly am inside. So being with your twin flame, you get to be and express more of who you are. And it's juicy. It's delicious. It's fun.
I can imagine. I mean, just in the last 2 months that I've been speaking to mine, like, he always tells me, he says, "Wow, you are so wise and so smart." And actually, just even those words, coming from him, it's just like, wow. I don't know. I had the most amazing feeling.
Oh, I could just feel the love resonating within those words and your sharing. It's just so beautiful.
I felt that in my heart. That's so sweet. And it's so sweet that he recognizes that. That's a key point in his awareness, that he recognizes that you're aware.
I just want to pause before we get too far away from that feeling of him saying how you're so wise and smart. For our viewers, if you're not in your twin flame union, or if you are, you can tune into that feeling of what Joyce's twin flame is saying to her if you want to feel and connect with the twin flame energy. Because it's that love that the twin flames share that is the twin flame vibration. That's the love right there that Joyce just said.
And what he's acknowledging in you as being wise and intelligent, he also is acknowledging that he too has those qualities, because you're one person, you're one being. So he too is wise, he too is intelligent, he too is a beautiful person.
Yeah, I know. Well, he tells me that all the time.
Beautiful.
That's so lovely. I'm so glad to hear that. Those are the little love deposits that you always want to make in a union.
Well, he even told me, he says, and this was just after a couple of weeks that we started talking to each other. He's telling me, he says, you're very wise, you're beautiful, you're smart, you're, and he says, and I can honestly say that I love you. Says, not like that, but he says, I love you, and he says, I've never said that to anyone and felt this way about it.
Aww.
But I mean, we had that connection, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's still a long way to go.
But, Joyce, you'll remember you're always going to be unfolding your union.
Yeah.
Shaleia and I we work at it every day, all day, and we're still unfolding our union, and it never ends.
Yeah, and it always, in many respects, feels so new all the time. In every moment, almost, it just feels new.
There's no wall we'll hit. There's no wall you'll hit. There's no wall anyone can ever hit with their twin flames, because you can always go deeper. You can always expand more. It always gets better, forever and ever.
There's no end to the journey. It's just everlasting, ever going. That's why in a union it feels new all the time. It feels like you're just beginning.
It's never boring. It's always interesting.
Yeah.
There's always stuff to do together. Shaleia and I spend literally all day, every day together, and there's never not something to talk about. We're always doing, saying, expressing, sharing something, talking about something, working on something together, unfolding and evolving together, always.
It's so juicy and fun, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
I can imagine.
Yeah. So good. I'm glad to hear that, you guys are, where you are, and it sounds to me that for where you are in union as friends, that you're actually fairly harmonious. And that gives a lot of people hope, I believe, who are in a similar situation where, they're not quite romantically involved yet, or, they're kind of in friends, or, there's some kind of transition happening in the union, that whatever transition that you're in, you can still be harmonious, and you can still have hope, and you can still continue moving forward with where you're at. You don't have to automatically jump in the commitment boat to make it work, or to be together to a degree.
So, Joyce, it's already working for you and your twin flames so well. You don't need to be married. You don't need to be in some hot, sexy, romantic relationship right away. And you can dip into that and taste it, and then dip back out and stay friends.
Yeah.
What you're doing right now is such an inspiration for me, and I believe for others, listening to this show.
Yeah, and it sounds to me like neither of you are putting the pressure on each other.
No expectation.
You really care for each other, and you really do love each other, and you really do want to be together in the long run. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to be together for the long run, so you're not pressuring each other to jump in right now prematurely.
There's no hurry when you're building something this magnificent.
Or big, yeah.
Taking your time is the music of twin flame unions.
It's so true.
I've even had dreams. I remember, I think it was the end of last October, I had a dream, and I wasn't too sure what it meant. And it was a short little dream, but I remember looking at a newspaper, and some guy was holding it, and all that said on it was 2.5 years. So I kind of sat there over and over, and I was thinking about this. Well, I decided to ask a lady that I know that interprets dreams, and she said, well, it's the answer to your prayers. Said, okay, like, what's that? She goes, aren't you looking for real love? I'm like, I've been doing that for 5 years. And she says, well, there you go. And then when I met him a couple months ago, I was like, well, maybe, and I have this tendency to look into things a little bit too much. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it happens.
Sure.
I don't know. I kind of figured that it had something to do with him, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You can know, Joyce, by the way you feel about your dreams. And you can know about how the feeling relates to what you're thinking about and what you've been working on in your daily life.
That's usually the biggest indication of dreams, is they're reflecting what's happening in your waking life and what you're desiring and what you're moving toward, you know.
We were just reading something from Abraham Hicks, about, you know, your dreams are kind of a preview of life's coming attractions. What you're dreaming about is what you're currently manifesting.
It's like watching a TV screen,
you
know. Like for me, for instance, I get a lot of healing dreams lately.
Yep, same here.
And same with Jeff, because we're working on healing some past childhood issues. And I can tell, like, my dreams lately have been indicating that I'm close to wrapping that up.
Yep.
And that feels really good to me, because I'm like, great, let's move on to the next. But that's what I've been manifesting, is healing, so that I can responsibly take on a lot of energy. And, you know, because we desire to move our career forward in a very big and powerful way.
Bring a lot of twin flames together.
Bring a lot of
help
twin
a lot of
flames
people
together.
With their spiritual
exactly,
lives.
And connect and talk to a lot of people, but I have to be able to manage that energy. And if I haven't finished my childhood healing, which I'm close, then all that energy coming my way is going to amplify the upsets. You know, and you see this as people who have children. Children amplify what's misaligned inside. Lots of money does that.
Fame.
Animals, fame. It's it's pretty incredible. And so that's why, like, for a long time, I've kept my life fairly simple and small, so that I could have these parts of myself handled. So when I do step into a bigger life, and in the process of stepping into a bigger life, I can handle it in a clear, balanced, and effective way.
And that's why so many people, you read the statistic that so many people who win the lottery lose it all pretty quickly. Because these are normal everyday people with normal everyday wealth, and they come into tens or hundreds of millions of dollars. It's so uncomfortable for them because it's amplifying all these things within them that they haven't yet cleaned up.
Usually poverty consciousness. And then they lose it. They lose it all.
Wow. Well, I've got 2 kids and 4 animals.
And a twin flame.
And a twin flame.
And a twin flame. There you go. Oh, geez.
Sounds like a lot of love amplified there.
Amen.
Oh, yeah. And actually, these the 4 animals that I have, I've only gotten them the last year. I was so against, because of what happened to me 5 years ago. I didn't want to bring any extra. I guess baggage isn't the word I'm looking for. But
yeah, I know what you mean, though.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've got 2 kids. Let's just leave it at that for now.
Sure.
And then all of a sudden, I got a cat. And 3 months after that, I get a guinea pig. And
nice.
Yeah, now I've got a zoo. I love it dearly, and I love the animals and the kids. And
that's sweet.
Yeah.
That's very sweet.
So we're coming to the end of our show here. Do you have any questions prepared for the last little bit you'd like to ask? Or
any additional comments?
No, I think all my questions were answered, so it turned out perfect.
Wonderful.
Well, Joyce, it's been such a pleasure having you on the show.
Yeah, thank you for joining us.
And I feel that so many people will benefit from your story that you've shared. So many people will benefit from how harmonious and easy that you're taking your twin flame union. You're taking all the steps so wisely, so intelligently, so perfectly, and the love that's being expressed within your union is so beautiful. I believe that's a huge inspiration for so many people who are moving into their twin flame unions.
Well, thank you very much.
You're very welcome, and I hope that this show has also helped you know what steps that you need to take to move forward in your union, and thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. Good. Awesome.
And thank you from everyone listening at home or out in their lives. please visit us at twinflamesuniverse.com to learn more about Twin Flames and for additional information, help, and support.
All right. Well, thank you for having me on your show.
Yeah.
Thank you, Joyce.
Thanks for joining us, Joyce. This has been a lovely call.